Elon Musk has a message for you, and even if you never meet him, never step inside a Tesla, never watch a SpaceX launch, never send a tweet in your life, that message has already begun shaping the world you wake up to. It is not about electric cars or rockets or AI or satellites circling above your head. It is not about becoming a billionaire or being famous or having endless resources. His message, at its core, is far simpler and far more personal. It is the idea that every single human being carries within them a kind of ignition switch, something small and quiet but incredibly powerful, sitting there in the dark waiting to be flipped on. Musk's message is that your potential is not a joke. Not a concept reserved for the lucky or the privileged or the naturally gifted. It is real, and it is yours, and the world becomes something astonishing the moment you decide to stop waiting for permission to use it. He believes, and has demonstrated repeatedly, that you do not need certainty to begin. You do not need clarity, or expertise, or the perfect plan. You do not even need to know what the next 5 steps look like. You only need to start moving in the direction of the thing that keeps whispering in your mind. You need only the courage to act before you feel ready. He has built an entire life out of doing things that appeared impossible right up until the moment they were done. And if you look closely at everything he says and everything he builds, you will find the same underlying message repeated again and again: you are capable of more than you believe, and the biggest limits you face are the ones you quietly agreed to without realizing it. There is a moment in everyone's life when they look around and wonder if they are truly living the way they were meant to. Maybe that moment hits you at night when you're lying awake thinking about all the things you could have done differently. Maybe it appears when you look at other people and wonder how they managed to escape the gravitational pull of a predictable life. Maybe it shows up when you feel that sudden spark of excitement imagining yourself doing something bold. Something unusual, something that seems slightly too big for the life you currently inhabit. Musk's message is that the moment you feel that spark, you must pay attention. That spark is the raw material of every invention, every breakthrough, every reinvention of a human life. That spark is where extraordinary things begin. You might think that Musk's accomplishments are so enormous they have nothing to do with your life. But his message is not about rockets, it is about trajectory. It is about direction. It is about refusing to shrink yourself to fit the limits of your circumstances. When he started SpaceX, he had never built a rocket. When he worked on Tesla, he had never run an automotive company. But he had belief, and belief is not optimism. Belief is action. Belief is choosing to move forward despite not knowing how everything will unfold. Belief is waking up each morning and saying, "I do not have all the answers yet, but I am willing to find them." The message he has for you is that your life can change the moment you stop negotiating with your doubts. That you will never outrun fear by avoiding it. That progress begins not when you feel brave, but when you act while you're still scared. Musk has failed publicly, repeatedly, and sometimes painfully. He has lost money, time, sleep, credibility, and more. But those failures never defined him. What defined him was his decision to continue anyway. And that is the message he hopes reaches you. Persistence is more powerful than talent, and resilience is more important than perfection. Every person alive today is surrounded by distractions, noise, pressure, expectations, and fear of judgment. The world tells you to be realistic, to be careful, to be practical. But Musk's message is the opposite. He would tell you to question everything that feels like a rule. To challenge every assumption that limits you. To ask yourself who benefits when you shrink. To imagine what would happen if you pursued that idea, that business, that creative project, that version of yourself that scares you just a little. He would tell you that you do not need permission to reinvent your life. You do not need applause or validation or a guaranteed outcome. You need only a direction. You need only to trust that momentum will carry you further than hesitation ever could. If you feel stuck, Musk's message is that you are not stuck because you lack ability. You are stuck because you have not yet decided to override the voice that keeps telling you not now, not me, not possible. That voice is lying to you. It lies to everyone. It is survival instinct dressed as wisdom. It is smallness masquerading as safety. But you are not meant to play small. You are not meant to dim yourself out of fear of being too much, too different, too ambitious. You are meant to grow in a direction that feels true to the person you secretly know you could be. Think about the moments in your life when you felt alive, really alive, not just comfortable. Maybe it was a moment of risk, a moment of trying something new, a moment when you stepped outside your patterns and discovered something about yourself. Those moments are the blueprint for a life that feels meaningful. Musk's message is to lean into those moments, to chase them with intention, to build your life around the things that make you feel connected to your own potential. He would also tell you this: you do not have to save the world to change it. You do not have to build a rocket to make a difference. Changing your own life changes the world. Elevating yourself elevates the people around you. When you become more courageous, more inspired, more committed, your presence influences others. The world shifts when you shift. Every person who decides to push past fear becomes a catalyst for someone else. The message is not that you should move to Mars, the message is that you should move toward the life that feels like yours. You might wonder why this message matters, why it should make any difference to you, why someone else's philosophy should matter in the context of your daily challenges. It matters because your future is not something that happens to you, it is something you participate in. You have more power than you realize. You have the ability to choose new habits, new beliefs, new reactions, new goals. Every time you choose to challenge your own limitations, you reshape what your future can be. Musk's message is not meant to glorify him, it is meant to awaken you. He believes that the world improves when people stop settling. When they stop living on autopilot. When they stop hiding their potential behind excuses. when they stop waiting for the right time. He believes in the importance of trying even when the odds are low, because trying transforms you. Every challenge makes you sharper. Every setback teaches you something. Every failure gives you data. Every step forward, even the imperfect ones, builds momentum. And momentum is the most powerful force you can create for yourself. Picture your life 1 year from now. Not a fantasy version, but a possible version. A version shaped by you making choices that align with your potential instead of your fear. Imagine what would happen if you gave yourself permission to pursue the thing you keep postponing. Imagine how different your life would feel if you began taking tiny steps every single day. Imagine what you could become if you decided that failure is not the enemy, stagnation is. Musk's message is that progress comes from unreasonable effort. Not reckless effort, but effort that others may not immediately understand. People laughed at him when he said he would land rockets. They rolled their eyes when he spoke about Mars. They doubted him when he invested everything he had into electric cars. But none of that mattered. He did not need others to believe in him. He needed to believe in himself. And that is the part of the message that is truly meant for you. Belief in yourself is not something that magically appears. It is something you build by taking action again and again. The world has a way of convincing you that your dreams are unrealistic. That you should lower your expectations. That you should be grateful for what you have and not reach so boldly for more. But there is nothing humble about denying your potential. There is nothing noble about shrinking yourself. The world benefits when you expand. When you rise, when you push past your limits. Musk's message is a reminder that the boundaries of your life can expand the moment you decide to challenge them. You might think you need to fix everything at once. You do not. You only need to take one step. One decision. One act of courage. One commitment to yourself. When you take that step, you ignite momentum. When you ignite momentum, you begin to realign your life. When you realign your life, opportunities appear that were invisible before because you weren't yet the person who could see them. Transformation is not magic, it is evolution. And evolution begins with a single choice. Musk often speaks about first principles, breaking things down to the simplest possible truths and building from there. Apply that to yourself. What do you truly want? Not what you think you should want. Not what others expect you to want. But what you feel compelled toward deep down. When you identify that, you identify your first principle. Once you have that, everything else becomes a matter of construction. You do not need the whole blueprint. You just need the foundation, the truth about what kind of life you want to build. His message is also a warning. A gentle one, but a real one. The world moves fast. Time moves faster. If you do not decide who you want to become, the circumstances of your life will decide for you. You will drift, You will settle, you will get comfortable, and comfort is a slow form of decay. Comfort convinces you there is no need to grow. But growth is what makes life meaningful. Growth is what makes you feel alive. Growth is the force that turns ordinary people into extraordinary ones, not because they were born special, but because they refuse to stay the same. You may think you are too late. You are not. You may think you are too early. You are not. You may think you lack resources. Start anyway. You may think you lack knowledge. Learn as you go. You may think you lack confidence. Confidence comes from doing what scares you. You may think the world will judge you. The world judges everyone. So do what matters to you anyway. Your life is waiting for you to become the person who stops hesitating. The message Musk has for you is that hesitation steals more dreams than failure ever will. That the discomfort of growth is temporary, but the regret of inaction lasts a lifetime. That the moment you commit to something bigger than your excuses, you begin to reshape your destiny, and most importantly, he would tell you that nobody is coming to save you. Not because you are alone, but because you are capable. You are not waiting for a hero. You are becoming one. The life you want will not arrive through luck or circumstance. It will arrive through effort, resilience, curiosity, and boldness. It will arrive when you decide that you are worthy of the future you imagine. It will arrive when you finally believe that you are capable of building something extraordinary out of your own existence. So here is the message: you are more powerful than you know. The limitations you feel are not permanent. The doubts you carry are not the truth. The vision you have for your life is not naive. The world you want to experience is not impossible. You have within you the same raw material every great innovator, creator, leader, and thinker began with: a spark of potential and a choice to act on it. Elon Musk's message to you is not that you should build rockets or start companies. It is that you should build yourself. You should start becoming the version of you that you secretly admire. You should take your potential seriously. You should take your ideas seriously. You should take your future seriously. The world becomes bigger when you do. The universe opens a little more when you do. And the limits you believed were real begin to dissolve the moment you decide that your life is meant for more than hesitation and fear. You do not need to know how everything will unfold. You only need to decide that you will not settle. You only need to claim your potential. You only need to begin. That is the message. And it truly is huge. And if you truly listen to that message, something shifts inside you. It might be subtle at first, like a quiet stirring, a thought you haven't allowed yourself to think for a long time: maybe I am capable of more. Maybe I have been underestimating myself. Maybe the future is not fixed. That tiny thought, fragile, trembling, almost afraid to exist, can grow into something unstoppable if you nurture it. Because possibility is like a seed. Once planted, it does not stay small. It begins to push upward, even through concrete. It begins to demand space. It begins to reshape the landscape of your mind. Musk would remind you that your life today is the result of decisions you made yesterday, but your life tomorrow depends on what you decide right now. And right now, you have more power than you did before, because you are becoming aware of it. Awareness is the first step toward transformation. When you become aware that you have allowed fear to dictate your boundaries, you suddenly have the ability to challenge them. When you become aware that you have been living according to the expectations of others, you gain the strength to redefine yourself. When you become aware that you have dreams that scare you, you begin to understand that fear is a compass, not a barrier. There is a reason Musk talks openly about failure. It is not to impress you with the drama of risk. It is to show you that failure is a normal part of any ambitious path. That if you fail, it does not mean you lack talent. It means you took a step most people never take. The people who never fail are the ones who never try anything meaningful. The people who succeed are the ones who endure through the failures that everyone else runs from. Musk's message is that you must stop treating failure as evidence that you should quit. It is evidence that you are moving, stretching, evolving. It is evidence that you are alive, and there is something else he would want you to understand. You do not need to be extraordinary to do extraordinary things. You do not need genius. You need desire. You need grit. You need the willingness to keep going. You need the stubborn belief that your dreams are worth the discomfort. You need the humility to learn and the courage to start before you feel ready. You need to trust that the person you will become is capable of handling the challenges ahead, even if the person you are now feels uncertain. When Musk looks at the world, he does not see limits. He sees systems. And systems can be improved. He sees problems. And problems can be solved. He sees possibilities. And possibilities can be expanded. That is the mindset he wants you to adopt, not because you need to change the world at his scale, but because you need to change your world at your scale. When you begin to see your life as something moldable, flexible, and responsive to your actions, you begin to regain control in a way that most people never do. Think about the things you tell yourself late at night when no one else is listening. Think about the dreams you dismiss because they feel too big or too unrealistic. Think about the version of you that would exist if you stopped negotiating with your potential. That version is real. That version is possible. That version is waiting for you to stop holding back. Musk's message is not futuristic. It is immediate. It is not about the next decade of technology, it is about the next decision you make. It is not about colonizing Mars, it is about colonizing your own possibilities. It is about taking responsibility for the shape of your own life. It is about waking up each morning with the understanding that your energy, your choices, your persistence, and your courage matter more than you have allowed yourself to believe. if you have been doubting yourself, this is the moment to stop. If you have been postponing your dreams, this is the moment to begin. If you have been shrinking to fit the expectations of others, this is the moment to expand. If you have been waiting for the right opportunity, this is the moment to create it. Your life does not change when conditions are perfect. It changes when you decide that imperfection is no longer an excuse. When Musk says something is possible, it is not because he has a guarantee. It is because he has willingness. Willingness to try. Willingness to experiment. Willingness to adapt. Willingness to believe that effort has power. That same willingness is available to you. And when you tap into it, your world will begin to transform in ways you cannot fully imagine right now, because here is the truth: the life you want is already reaching toward you. It is waiting. It is available. But it requires you to meet it halfway. It requires you to step into the unknown. It requires you to trust that you can grow into the person your dreams demand you to be. You are not too late. You are not too early. You are exactly where you need to be to begin, and you can begin now.